Hello and welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. In this one, I want to talk about Dugin again and his noological analysis of modernity, and by extension post-modernity. I think I covered post-modernity in this article slightly, but if not, then perhaps this is a theme for another video. But I'll focus on modernity in this one, and you can find these lecture series on YouTube. I think they're still up there somewhere. If you type in Noomakhia lecture series Serbia, you'll find 12 lectures. I think there are 12 in total, or 10, and each lecture is dedicated to the noological analysis of various epochs in history, various civilizations, various cultures and countries, and I found these lectures interesting, to say the least. Obviously, back then, perhaps Dugin's English wasn't so good, because I believe those lecture series took place in 2019 or 18. So now Dugin's English is much better, so perhaps he could create another series, perhaps, and share his ideas again. But I'll briefly share what I thought was important. So I wrote a Medium article about these reflections of Dugin's and all his, thought-provoking ideas, because I think they can really help us understand the time we're living in, the structure of our reality, but also about more spiritual matters, things that are not seen in the world of the unseen, yes? Because in the world of the unseen, there is constantly a fight taking place between God and the fallen angels, the chief of them being Lucifer. So, according to Dugin, modernity is the victory of the titans, of Cybele, of the serpent over God. Successful attack. When I heard this during the lecture, I was laughing. I was like, this guy is onto something. This philosopher Alexander Dugin, he's onto something. And I began my article with this quote, which reads, "There is nothing natural in human history. Everything is based on the logos." Logos! So modernity is a moment of Noomakhia that came with the new attack of titans against the gods. And this one is a successful attack. So modernity is the victory of the titans, of Cybele, of the serpent over God. Successful attack. And here we have, I included two pictures. Just here we got angels or humans in angel form, or, to be honest, I can't really remember the title of this painting. But here I remember this one. This is a dragon, a sea serpent. Yes, Leviathan, I believe. So Dugin talks about Leviathan, about Hobbes, and the Hobbesian conception of the state, and how this is a very Cybelian, titanic arrangement. Yes, we could say. And well, I'll go into this later, but for this video, I'll have to cover my article, because I don't remember any of this at this present moment in time. Because I wrote this over 2 years ago. Yes. So I'll have to refer to my article a lot in order to clarify and share some important ideas and information. So let's go through it now. I don't want to waste too much time. So modernity and post-modernity, they are specific epochs in history. So much has changed recently, yes. So much progress has taken place. I do believe in progress to an extent. I believe humanity is progressing in some way, yes, on various levels. Materially, we are more prosperous. the vast majority of humanity, yes, has achieved prosperity. Average GDP per capita of a person in the West and in parts of Eastern Europe and in China and in Russia has increased. Yes, material prosperity has increased, and I think this is a good thing. Yes, obviously it's a good thing. We want this. We want some material prosperity. Yes. But then, obviously, with modernity and post-modernity, there comes a lot of bad processes are also taking place. There's a pervasive kind of confusion and sense of chaos, yes, that we need to clarify and overcome. But yes, in this video, I will focus on modernity. So two concepts need to be clarified, need to be talked about before we subsequently discuss these ideas of Dugin, yes? And the first is the Nous. So the Nous is a Greek word for intellect, intelligence, mind, thought, consciousness. So it's a broad term. Obviously, when I read this out to you now, it covers many words, yes? Intellect, intelligence, mind, thought, consciousness. I mean, so many words here, yes? But this is what Dugin says. So, not Dugin, but it's obvious. Yes, human, we as humans, we're different from the animals because we have thought, yes? Nous, we can think. And because we can think, we are able to change our reality. We are able to change our environment. Man is influenced by both God and fallen spirits. So, because of this, a human is special, yes? And according to Dugin, this Nous is threefold, which results in three logoses. So he says there are three logoses. There's Apollo, Dionysian logos, Apollonian logos, and the Cybelian logos, the dark logos. These logoses in the human mind, they fight between each other for dominance. And therefore, depending on which logos has won in the mind of the human, and a whole culture and a group of people, it will then translate into how their civilization looks like, yes? How their civilization operates, etc. And the given shape of a culture, yes? And this is what Noology is. This is, I guess, a new discipline that by and large Dugin has created. And Noology is the study of this Nous, of the structure of the Nous, whereas Noomakhia is the war within the mind or Nous. And life in a sense is a war, yes? Conflict, war is an inherent part of nature, unfortunately, yes? When we look back at history, conflict has always taken place, yes? But out of the conflict arises a new harmony, yes? This is the view of Heraclitus. That out of conflict arises a greater harmony, yes? And we can hear this in music, because music has conflicting notes sometimes, conflicting harmonies. And when you listen to a good piece of music, this is kind of resolved into a higher level of harmony, yes? So Noology, it helps us, this branch of thought, yes, this new discipline, I guess, or whatever we can call it. It helps us to understand and interpret history, culture, and its events, as well as to explain the differences between civilizations and perhaps why there is conflict. Yes. And really, Dugin, for me, he is definitely. I don't know whether I should use the word genius or not, but he is a brilliant thinker. And I included a link here, so this is the first lecture introduction. He is a brilliant thinker, and I remember when I first listened to this series, I was definitely in awe. Yes, I was. It clarified a lot, I think, and I don't know if he created this new discipline, Noology or Noomakhia. I think it was him. Maybe some other thinkers as well contributed before him. I'm not sure. Yes. But now let's go into the juicy nuggets. Let's cover the key information that I thought was relevant. So I didn't share I didn't share everything. Obviously, you can listen to the series yourself. This is Paidoma TV, so it may be here as well. If you can't find it on YouTube, you can go on Paidoma TV and you'll find it. So Dugin traces the beginnings of modernity with the Renaissance, where, using his philosophical terminology, and I love this, the logos of Cybele defeated the logos of Apollo, the forces of God, and by extension Indo-European tradition. And there is some truth to this, right? Because I think from this point, new phenomena start to appear, like capitalism, the bourgeoisie class, the secularized nation state, its society, and it really is the end of Christianity as a force, and instead science takes over. Yes. So obviously during the Middle Ages, we had distinct class types such as priest, warrior, peasant, etc. Yes, but these have kind of disappeared, and now we have obviously we have working class, middle class, bourgeoisie class, and the merchant class. The merchant class is more powerful. Yes, capitalism has won. Yes, and it results in a secularized nation state and its society and science, etc. So obviously, it depending on your own view, depending on the logos that operates in your own mind, you'll have different views. Yes. Some people cherish the Renaissance. They think it's the peak of human creativity and civilization, and it's something that we should cherish. Yes, others criticize the Renaissance. They think it was a bad process ultimately. I believe perhaps the Muslim perspective this is the Muslim perspective, perhaps the Islamic perspective, that the Renaissance was ultimately perhaps a bit dodgy. Yes. Personally, I think the Renaissance was a good period in human history. I mean, let's type Renaissance here. Renaissance. Let's type it. Renaissance, French for rebirth, was a fervent period of European cultural, artistic, and political and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages. Originated in Italy and spread across the continent, bridging the gap between medieval and modern civilization. Interested in wisdom. I mean, so much took place, right, during the Renaissance. It was the start of a new era, definitely. So there's many famous figures of the Renaissance: Da Vinci, Copernicus. So obviously, this was a revolutionary time. It radically changed our view of the world, etc. Yes, and it did well. For good and for ill, it liberated the human, yes, from various constraints. And here, I guess, when I'm thinking of this, when a human is liberated, every human will use his freedom to different ends. Yes, some humans will use their freedom for evil because they're not kept in check, whereas other humans will use their freedom for the good. Yes, because they even though perhaps they're not constricted by outside forces, they still have a sense of the good. Because this is a thought that just popped up into my mind, but it's clear, yes, that Renaissance, I think, was the start of this transition into the modern era, into modernity, and now we see the results of it. Yes, this advanced technical civilization. So many brilliant inventions, but also so many frightening inventions, like the atomic bomb, nuclear weapons. But then we think of computers. I'm using this Mac now, yes, and via this MacBook, I'm able to communicate with the whole world. Technically, yes. Obviously, not many people are watching me, but you understand my point, yes. So, I mean, there are good outcomes and bad outcomes from this process, yes. So, it's difficult, right, to make a final judgment. But anyway, moving on. And this is what really had an impact on me. I remember when I was listening, and this is what Dugin said: is there was a conceptual change of science with the advent of modernity. So since science is an intrinsic part of modernity, and our understanding of reality is based on modern science, it is imperative to deduce the structure of modern science, as it is very much different from the science we find in the Middle Ages and has an effect on our current reality. So I was paraphrasing Dugin here. And here, I guess, where the book Thomas Kuhn, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, comes to mind. Yes, so this is a famous book that talks about how scientific paradigms, they change. Yes, Thomas Kuhn, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. And Dugin's onto something, right? This is true. Like, science change. This is a part of science. Yes, science, because it performs inquiries. Because science constantly questions its assumptions, it leads eventually to new views and new revolutions. Yes, and new ways of viewing the world and reality, etc. So obviously, in the Middle Ages, we had a different view of science, perhaps, or science wasn't even prevalent during the Middle Ages. But because of the Renaissance, this specific structure of modern science appeared. Yes. And perhaps we may be on the brink of a new scientific revolution, a new theory, a new view of viewing the world. We'll see what happens. Yes. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So, according to Dugin, this is his thought. I don't know if this is correct or not, but it was an interesting idea. So, when we read the texts of modern authors of science, we notice a special shared feature. They all criticize Aristotle. Yes. So he says that they reject his idea of anisotropic space. So what is anisotropic space? Because I don't even know this at the moment. I don't remember what this means. Anisotropic space. Anisotropic space refers to a physical or mathematical environment where properties, values, or behaviors change depending on the direction of measurement or movement. It contrasts with an isotropic space where properties remain identical regardless of the direction. I need to read that again. Anisotropic space refers to a physical or mathematical environment where properties, values, or behaviors change. Okay, they change depending on the direction of measurement or movement. Okay. It contrasts with where properties remain identical regardless of direction. In an anisotropic universe, physical laws or the distribution of matter are not uniform in all directions. Physical laws or the distribution are not uniform in all. While modern cosmology relies on the cosmological principle, assuming the universe is homogeneous and isotropic, the early universe or specific gravitational quantum fields makes it anisotropic spacetimes. Many crystals and composite materials such as wood or carbon fiber are anisotropic. Their mechanical strength, electrical conductivity, or refractive index depend entirely on their structural orientation. So this is very interesting in my opinion. Anisotropic space, isotropic space, yes? Real-world examples. So obviously, anisotropic space is definitely a source of a lot of modern inventions, yes? So if properties, values, or behaviors change depending on the direction of measurement or movement, then by definition, when we think about this, change is constantly taking place, yes? Because it says here, properties, values, behaviors, they change constantly change. Whereas isotropic space, properties remain, things are still the same, regardless of where they move, yes? So, I guess here, well, when I read this, process philosophy comes to mind. So process philosophy talks about how we are constantly changing, yes? As we grow up, our identities change, the structure of our bodies change when we move, etc. I guess this is one kind of application, yes, one interpretation of anisotropic space is what I think of, yes, process philosophy. Whereas isotropic space, it makes me think more about the stable structure of being. Yes, that being it always remains the same. Being is something eternal. So obviously, being is a key. It's a key concept in philosophy. Yes, a lot of philosophers talk about being. What does it mean to be? Yes. How can we live authentically? How can we be? And this is what comes to mind as I'm reading this and thinking, speculating. But obviously, so many thoughts could pop up into our minds when we read this. Yes. So here, I guess this is clearer now. This next section will be clearer because it's an anisotropic space. It's interesting, but it requires a bit more thought. Yes, I'll need to perhaps sit down in a quiet environment, perhaps read a book that's related to it, write down my thoughts and think more about it. But this next part here is quite obvious. Yes, for Aristotle, everything has its own goal. So this talks about teleology. This is telos. Yes, its own final reason, which is equivalent to natural space. So the thing moves in order to reach its natural space, and once there, it stops. Of course, this results in some chaos as every separate thing tries to reach its own natural space, apart from God, which is the immovable mover. However, in the end, there is some semblance of order. Yes, so yeah, I remember I wrote this down. This is kind of my own interpretation. But yeah, well, now when we think about postmodernity, modernity, there is something like this. Yes, this process where no one is in their natural place. Yes, there's a lot of chaos, confusion. People are lost. Yes, they don't feel settled, and perhaps this is due to this rejection of Aristotle, right? Because this, according to Dugin, this modern science is based on a rejection of Aristotle, yes, and a criticism of him. So no human now. They don't have their own goal, their own final reason, which is equivalent to natural space. So if a human is not in their natural space, they're constantly lost, like constantly, what's going on? What do I need to do? Yes. Whereas if you are in your natural space, if you finally understand yourself and your position in the world, you stop, yes, and you don't really have this chaos anymore within you. So this is what comes into my mind, yes. But obviously, we can apply this to whole cultures, to all this, civilizations, to other branches of knowledge, etc. Yes. So it's interesting. So this is Dugin's interpretation of Galileo, Copernicus, and others. I think it's not just his. I think other thinkers probably say the same. In that Galileo, Copernicus, and others, they affirmed that there was no natural place and no final reason, only causal reason, since there is no goal or teleology for the movement. What's more, there is no absolute center. Everything is relative, and everything is defined by the previous cause. And this is definitely obvious now, right? Modern quantum physics, I guess, is about this. Well, I don't. there's this famous Feynman quote which reads, if people say they've understood quantum physics, it means they haven't understood quantum physics, because it's so weird. Like, I don't know nothing about quantum physics. I'm not a physicist. All I can say is all I can talk about in this moment, at this moment in time, is about our culture and the state of civilization and humans and where they find themselves. Yes. So when I think about this, there's no absolute sense. Everything's relative. Everything is defined by the previous cause. We can notice this, yes, in our culture, in humans, in what we are doing, in how we are living. Perhaps everything's relative. There are no shared values anymore, etc. People, no one. Everyone's going their own way. Yes, this thing, go your own way, find your own truth. Yes, there is something to this, right? And so, there is no final movement. There's no teleology. There's no final reason. Just casual reason. Just because there is no final goal, natural place, no final reason. We can see how science impacts society, because to some degree it's all linked at the end of the day, right? Science has an impact on society, on culture, on civilization, and the outcomes of the a given civilization. Yes. So here we can definitely see at play here the Cybelian logos, or Dionysian Cybelian logos, which is more chaotic, lacks a specific goal, perhaps. Yes. So, and I guess science, by definition, it's a Cybelian way of viewing the world and the universe, because science focuses on matter, yes, on chemistry, on biology, on physical laws, physics, mathematics. So, science operates in this Cybelian world, we could say, yes, which is the third logos of Cybele. And obviously this leads to a lot of progress, material prosperity, right? I mean, at the touch of a button, you can order anything online, and it arrives at your doorstep. I guess this is an application of science, because so many processes have to take place simultaneously or over a period of time in order for a given package that you order to arrive at your door. Yes. So this is just kind of what pops up into my mind as I'm thinking about this. So yes, I remember this was an important part of the lecture, so I included it. And now, so moving on from the Renaissance, yes. So after the Renaissance, according to Dugin, we see the rise of atomism and materialism. And this view of the universe was already represented by the pre-Socratics, yes, Democritus, Epicurus, Lucretius. So I read a few books by these philosophers. I've got a few books by them. 1 second. So, for example, here we've got the pre-Socratics, the first philosophers, the pre-Socratics, and the sophists. Sophist, yes. You definitely don't want to be a sophist, that's for sure. Now, there we got. I've got these two as well that I've read. Lucretius, sorry, The Nature of Things. Oh no, this is Epictetus. No, they're not this one. Democritus. I don't think I have Democritus here actually. But yes, in general, all of these philosophers, they were materialists in their worldview. Yes, the universe can be boiled down to matter in motion, and this is dangerous. This is a dangerous worldview because it can lead to so many negative outcomes. Yes, because the mind ultimately is affected by these thoughts and ideas, And there's definitely a link here, right, between this materialist worldview, atomism, materialism, etc., and what we saw in the 20th century. Yes, with the rise of Marxism, all these disastrous wars that took place in the 20th century. Yes, all these developments, the dangerous nuclear weapons, etc. So, and obviously, with this rise in materialism, the idea of transcendence is lost. There's just immanence, and immanence is linked to kind of causal reason, causal reason. You just try to reach another immanent plane. Yes. So I guess here we can think of Deleuze, Gilles Deleuze. I mean, he's a brilliant philosopher, but he's a materialist philosopher. Yes, Gilles Deleuze. Gilles Deleuze. Immanence. Plane of immanence. This is a beautiful concept created by Gilles Deleuze. Plane of immanence. And we are living in this world, right? There's just immanence, yes? There's no transcendence. So we are all trying just to reach another plane of immanence. And I guess it stems from this scientific worldview, yes, to a degree. And this rise of atomism and etc., materialism. But then this is where it's quite ironic that science still hasn't found the fundamental base particles for matter. So obviously we have the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, and they keep trying to find this ultimate basis of reality, these ultimate particles that make up the universe. But they keep going deeper and deeper, but not finding an absolute basis. Yes. There's always another particle at a lower level. It's funny, isn't it? There never seems to be kind of a final point, yes? Apologise. So there's constant division, yes? Reductionism. And I guess this worldview, it ends up in a cul-de-sac. We are back to square one, as I like to say. We are back to square one, and it results in this, nihilism, I guess, which we are which we are all experiencing to a degree. So now, but I've nearly finished. There's one more thing I want to talk about before I end this video. And this is about how the atomistic vision is reflected in the change of the political order with modernity, yes? So before we had empire, yes? We had different empires, and an empire has a final goal, yes? Usually there's a final goal. This is, I guess, what I associate the empire with. There's a grand idea, a grand thought, a grand aim. Something that needs to be achieved, yes? But instead of this, we now have the modern state and the nation, and this nation is kind of created from below via the social contract. So we have the social contract. Individuals are their behavior towards each other is regulated kind of from below. But there's no kind of final reason. What's the goal of the state? What is the goal of a nation or of these modern nation states? I guess the only goal is to prevent anarchy between individuals or citizens. Yes, within a given state. This is what Dugin mentioned, and when he said this, I was like, yes, he's onto something. Yes, I think he's onto something. There is no mission, we could say, yes, no final reason. And with the modern state, we have individualism, democracy, equality. Now here, this is a touchy subject, yes, because we'll talk about politics now. I think this Cybelian, we can call it, yes, Cybelian conception of the state can also be a good thing because it grants more individualism, more freedom for the individual, democracy, equality. I mean, I know we're not really living in a democracy, but we can't deny that there was a process in history where, after the destruction of empire, the aristocracy was removed from power, and it led to greater swathes of the population becoming free. Yes, and a middle class, a larger middle class appeared. So here, I don't know if Dugin criticizes this Cybelian structure of the modern state. I don't know, but if I were to assert my position, I don't think this is a bad process really. We want a middle class, a strong middle class, because this prevents tyranny. This prevents totalitarianism. We want a modern state that promotes the liberty of the individual, etc. That promotes greater equality. I think this is a good process. Yes. And do we want to go back to empire and have more? Well, these wars possibly, yes. Because if we start to think about an empire and the idea that it needs a final reason, then you can see how this could possibly lead to a violent dictator or tyrant coming to power and forcing his will on everybody. Yes, because he believes he is the final reason, etc. So, yeah, I don't know. All I will say is that it definitely made me think. I understand the criticism, yes, of the modern nation state, etc. I understand the criticism, I guess, because sometimes it seems like what is the end goal of all of this state kind of? What is the end goal of the country, etc. Or maybe we should even think in these terms. There is no really end goal. We're just here to live our life and to be good people, yes. Everyone in order to do this. In order to achieve this, we want maximum liberty for everyone. Yes, maximum liberty and equality. So I don't know if this is a bad thing. Yes, I don't think. In general, I'm in favour. Yes, of a stronger middle class and yes, because a stronger middle class prevents tyranny, as I just said. So anyway, I think that's the end of my video for today. If you want to watch it, you can click here on this link, or you can find it by my TV, Noological Analysis of Modernity. You can watch Dugin's other lectures. And yes, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you spending your time here on the JJ Think Tank. If you liked the video, if you're a new viewer, consider subscribing and liking the video. It'll help me grow the channel. If you like the video even more, consider donating at Buy Me a Coffee. But yes, once again, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care.